Hi, everyone. Welcome to this evening's monthly parent support meeting with special needs in my city. And today we have Dr. James Henman, who will be helping us understand how to approach positive thinking, how to manage it. And we all know the benefits, the physical and the mental health benefits that positive thinking brings about. So we actually are going to do this session a little differently than what we normally do. We are actually going to have some scenarios for Dr. Henman, and he will help us understand how do we put ourselves in a better mindset when we have these thoughts in our head. Welcome, Dr. Henman.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, girl. You know that.
Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule with so many other commitments you do have. So we totally appreciate you being here today. All right. So what is positive thinking? And then I would like you to address 4 scenarios that our parents often feel or experience.
Okay. Positive, excuse me, positive thinking is based, from my standpoint, what I'm talking about, based on accuracy with what we've talked before at previous meetings about the lantern and the flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
So the lantern looks respectfully, kindly inside and out. It's based on a desire to learn and grow. It's fundamentally respectful inside and out, and it's committed to accuracy inside and out. It realizes that my view may be different than Mina's view. And instead of right fighting, which is so common today, to realize that there's more than one view. Let's be open and curious, sharing our view and wanting to hear others' views. It maximizes your healthy power when you're doing that.
Got it.
Even if the other person isn't, it still increases your healthy power by doing it.
Let me ask you, is positive thinking something that it's a skill that has to be learned, or is it more of a personality trait, much more difficult to achieve?
That's a great question. Psychology has tended to see many of these things as personality traits that are set by the time you're around 20. The truth is, they are software. If you have a computer, a good computer, and you have software on it that isn't producing what you want, do you sell the computer or do you change the software? When you use the analogy of software, suddenly things become possible that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Yes, positive versus negative as a general style becomes a general style because you've learned to survive with it. I call it survival software. If you grow up in a very toxic environment, one thing you probably learn is don't get your hopes up. Ignore your feelings because they're going to hurt. And in that original circumstance, that helped you get by. But if you try to use survival software for living as a result, it doesn't work. It can be learned. It can be learned imperfectly. It can be learned through awkward, clumsy practicing. Because when you first start practicing, it's going to be awkward and clumsy. When you realize that's normal and you can celebrate tiny steps forward and nurture yourself for each step, feel good about noticing when you've taken a big step backwards. What can I learn from that? You know me, I'm from previous talks, I'm addicted to nuggets. Nuggets are bite-sized chunks of wisdom about the process of healthy change, spirituality, healthiness. And if you're going to go through a challenge, get your nuggets. learn from those challenges instead of feeling defeated by them.
Now, one of the things you've taught all of us in these past couple of years is the importance of looking at any situation with accuracy,
Yes.
and and that allows us to reach solutions with accuracy.
Well,
And
if when we're looking at it accurately, we're looking at it accurately and feeling good about noticing accurately where we're starting. It doesn't mean you like where you're starting. It doesn't mean where you're starting feels good. But by accurately seeing where you're starting, it gives you the ability in the present to begin taking steps forward. Feeling good about noticing unwanted things is the first step in healthy change. And people fight that. They think I'm saying feel good about the crappy situation. I'm not. The crappy situation is a crappy situation, but feel good about noticing that situation as accurately as possible with your lantern, both from your view, and if it's like a partner, from your view and the partner's view. And people say, well, why would I care about their view? Because they don't care about mine. The reason is because it increases your healthy power.
mm,
It's taking good care of you and increasing your chances of success by being respectful, even to a person who's not being respectful.
mhm,
But you can protect them from hurting you. If you just let somebody hurt you and just stuff it,
right.
it perpetuates the pattern. If
That doesn't mean you ignore the reality or make light of the problem. It
I,
just means you're saying it. You approach the
yeah,
good and the bad.
yeah,
Um,
as accurately as possible. So if, let's say, Mina, and this is not you, you're I'm sorry, but you're
I'm
wonderful.
confused. And am I confused? Yes.
Okay, I'm biased. But let's say that you were saying some really hurtful things to me. I'm not going to just absorb those. I'm going to say, Mina, are you intentionally being hurtful right now? Curiosity and confusion.
Mm,
Is there something that you need to get off your chest in order to talk in a healthier way? If you do, if you need to kind of unload something, let me know, and I'll let you, kind of get that out, and then we can talk. But when you talk to me the way you are, it doesn't make me feel safe. It doesn't make me feel respected.
mhm,
It doesn't make me feel good about you.
mhm,
I want to be able to feel good about you as my partner.
mhm.
But when you treat me in a very hurtful way, that's a challenge.
Okay, this is a great segue to the scenarios that we're going to talk about now. And it's back to what you were saying is, trying to come from a space of being accurate. But, you have 10 things on your plate and you're juggling 10 balls and you're just going, okay. And then you see your partner sipping, his or her coffee or watching TV or whatever it is. And you're thinking, wait a minute, how come my partner never helps me on this special needs journey? He or she, often it's the parent, the mother who is the operational manager, who is going to those IEP meetings, or maybe it's to the doctor's appointments or to even the social activities,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So how do you go from knowing that you are accurate, you think you're accurate,
Mm.
but then you have this scenario where you don't feel like the partner is helping you.
Okay.
And
And
that thought is constantly playing in our, let's say I'll use myself an example. If
mm,
that is always playing in my head, he's not helping me, he
yep.
doesn't care. He never comes to IEP meetings. He never helps me. He doesn't raise his hand for anything, even though there are moments he possibly is, and I'm not seeing it because
Yeah.
I've already stamped, sealed
Mm, yeah.
this thought.
That's a great example, because in the time machine, we go over it, over it, over it, over it, over it. The resentment builds, the tone inside builds its intensity. We keep a lid on it. Constipation, emotional pushing our feelings down, leads to either explosive diarrhea, anger, huge outburst of resentment, or doldrums, depression, anxiety, shutting down. One of those is going to be the result of stuffing it. So the key is you can only start in the present. You can't start 2 years ago. So actually, as the parent that's feeling what you're feeling, what you're describing, the first step is to appreciate you've helped teach your partner that this is okay.
Okay.
By not really keeping it inside and not really talking about it. And so, for example, this has been building for quite a long time. And you realize, I really want things to change. I need things to change. So I would say to the partner, do you have a few minutes? There's something I really want to talk to you about, but I really want to have a conversation that we don't have other distractions. Is now an okay time, or is there a time that would work better for you? Now, inside you may going, why should I be that thoughtful? Because you want the outcome that comes from it. You're wanting a respectful relationship, give and take, but you start by giving it as thoughtful to you and him or her, the partner. Okay. And so often they'll say, yeah, as soon as the news is over, yeah, we could do it. Now, inside you may go, so the news is more important than I am? Another inflaming feeling. Instead, focus on the fact that when the news is over, he's going to have this conversation. You can only start where you can start. He or she can only start where they can start.
If the goal is to minimize this negative thinking about this moment, this person, whatever, then is there any room to just say, this person is not capable of doing XYZ, and I just have to accept it and keep moving? Because
Well,
if you're getting the same return, all the same every time,
well,
then
but Nina, here's the thing. Usually, in the cases I've seen over the years, hundreds of, not necessarily just special needs, but just
right.
couples, the person has been stuffing their feelings for a long time. If you're stuffing your feelings, you're not communicating those feelings. And if you do stuff and then share, you're going to stuff and blow, and you'll be angry and and the partner goes, you're a banshee. What's it? I'm not doing anything wrong. What am I doing wrong? Well, actually, that's a really good question. They often aren't doing anything wrong. The issue is they aren't doing some things that are needed to be done right. Can you hear the difference? So you need to have the freedom to realize I've helped create this circumstance without meaning to, without intending to, and therefore I am going to take steps to do what I can to make it as healthy as I can. And it may not end up being perfect, but it can be better. So after the news, I sit down and I say, first of all, thank you for being open to having this conversation. I know you work hard at work all day, right? And so you come home and it's time, you're off work. So it's time to relax and be comfortable. I understand that. Do you understand that I work all day with our special needs child and keeping the home going and all that stuff? And by the end of the day, I'm tired and I want time off. But there's no time off for me. And when I see you having time off and me tired and drained, but still having to work, what do you think that feels like inside? So you're the partner.
Well, um,
I don't know.
somebody has to work, Mina.
Yeah, well,
So, you know what?
wait. Did you hear me honor the fact that you work hard at work? Did you hear me honor that?
I did.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
just want you to know that one of us has to work.
I
And I cannot devote blank, blank, blank.
okay. Nor am I asking you to blank, blank, blank. What I'm asking you to realize is that both of us work all day. I'm not sitting eating bonbons and having my nails done all day.
Right.
I have many, many, many things. I work all day too. Okay. Do you realize that? Have you really ever thought about what I do all day while you're working all day?
And I bring this scenario up because it's one of the most common feedback that we get from parents,
Sure.
particularly mothers, since they tend to be the everyday advocate,
Mhm.
caregiver,
Sure.
et cetera, et
Everything.
cetera, et
Every,
cetera. Yeah. So I was wanting to really, on behalf of my parents, understand this thought that keeps recurring in our
right.
heads on a
But
daily basis.
that's what we're doing right now in
Mhm.
this example,
Right.
because I'm not in an angry, resentful voice, because if I'm in an angry, resentful voice, chances are my partner will react to the angry, resentful tone and tune me out.
That's a good point.
Instead, I'm being respectful to me and my partner. That's the power of the lantern. Okay.
I want
And
to finish up the last statement you made, and I think I
mhm,
left you hanging there, is um, after everything is said in a cordial, courteous, as much as possible, to let that communication happen in a calmer way. What if the person finally says, "Well, what do you want me to do?"
okay. Thank you for that question. I would say to my partner, thank you. Do you realize that question itself means a lot to me? It means that you are interested in me too. Thank you. I don't expect you when you're at work to be doing things that I'm doing in my work. But what I would like, what I need, is for you to be interested in what I'm going through, what I'm learning, not not complaining and griping. No, it's not about that, but sharing, different things that have gone on during the day.
That's a good one.
And I want to also know how your day was. And see, I've gotten so resentful, to be honest, I've gotten so resentful that I don't even think to ask you how your day went. So actually, I'm doing to you what is upsetting that you're doing to me. We've gotten into a circle. Okay. We together have gotten into a circle. So the first thing is that we spend time sharing our day with each other. I realize that my resentment plus my belief that I've got to give our special needs child absolute focus all the time, I'm realizing I've ignored you too.
Mhm.
That's my bad, okay? I don't want to ignore you. I don't want to be ignored by you. Our marriage or our relationship is important to me, but it's just very sunburned. It's very raw. So we can start with little steps. I can share with you some of the things that are important from my day. You can share what's important to you from your day. That's a huge start. We need to have time together to be a couple. And is that harder with our special needs child? Yeah, it is. So let's be creative.
Right.
Let's be creative, not stopped by it, but let's be creative together. Then we're a team. When you get home from work, you're tired, but to realize that I've been at work in my work all day too. So little things that you can do to be of help.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm going to be Jim for a minute. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Sonia is my wife, 50 years, very organized. She sees everything. She had to learn how to see everything. She sees everything. And it's hard for her to believe I don't see much of anything. I don't see that the carpet needs to be vacuumed. I don't see messes because I'm ADD and dyslexic anyway. And I'm usually in my head thinking about whatever, I don't know. And I don't even see it. I walk in the room, I don't see the mess. I don't. So for me, learning to see it is a big step.
Mm.
For
That's
her,
good
the
to
big
get your
step,
perspective.
yeah.
That's
And
good to
for
get. Yeah.
her, the big step is realizing that I'm not ignoring it because I expect her to do it. I don't even see it.
Mm.
And that's what I've been working on. One of the things I've been working on for me over, quite a while now. I'm getting better at it. But the point in terms of this example, I'm never going to be as good at noticing as Sonia. And I'm not going to probably ever be as good at implementing that noticing as Sonia, because she's had a lifetime practice
Mhm.
and I'm just starting. And so I'm going
How
to be much more awkward and clumsy.
Mhm. Thank you for that. I think there's some nuggets that we definitely can walk away with. Going to ask you is a theme from our single parents, and that is this overwhelming feeling of I'm in this alone. So many worries, many more than for someone who has a partner that can, that you count on for the littlest things, but those little things are huge. And so I want you to help our single parents
Oh,
understand how do we
absolutely.
break this thinking of I'm alone, I'm doing it by myself, there's no one, and I can't do this anymore.
First of all, I feel, and it's difficult in the other example, and I'm not minimizing the difficulty of that. It's a different difficulty. But for single parents generally, and single parents of special needs kids in particular, to me, are the heroes. They are the heroes. It is the most challenging, difficult. So the first step is appreciating that it's really difficult. We tend to think life is supposed to be fair, it's supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be smooth. No, life isn't easy, it isn't hard, it simply is. And as a single parent of a special needs child, it's probably going to be much more toward the side of really challenging. So the first step is being respectful of that for yourself as a single parent, mom or dad. Yeah, this is really hard. Okay. Because if you don't, then it goes inside and it builds up that constipation, and it grows to where it crushes you. That part you can do something about. You may not be able to do anything about being that single parent, but how you approach being that single parent, actually, you have some very real choices. Real choices. One is to be very respectful of how tired you feel. Another is realizing that the dreams that you had you not had a special needs child, are probably not going to be happening with this special needs child. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
What's also true is that there are amazingly special things in that special needs child parent relationship too. Beginning to appreciate those, nurturing yourself in those. That's very important, very important. And when you start to feel really drained and like, man, I just don't know I can do this, instead of, we've talked in talks before about second order feelings.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm feeling really overwhelmed and then I feel crazy about feeling overwhelmed, or I feel guilty about feeling overwhelmed, or I feel angry about feeling overwhelmed, that other feeling, the second order feeling, comes crushing in on the other feeling. And now you have a double.
And that happens to every
It's so
human being,
natural. It's so
right?
natural.
To every human being.
Yeah, every human being. That is a normal thing. So as a special needs parent, you need to be nurturing yourself and appreciating every moment of why it is that you're actually being that special parent, the parent to that special needs child, and letting yourself nurture you as well as that special needs child. One thing that I think your organization has the structure for and the ability is to be a village.
Mm-hmm.
Your organization has the structure that can be a village. And as a village, let's say 3 different single parent moms or dads, let's say 1 week, I will take 2 other special needs kids from 2 other single parent situations, and I'll watch both of them for an evening.
Mm-hmm.
For an evening.
Right.
Now, for me, having those 3 special needs in one way is almost easier than having one, because depending on their developmental capacity, if they're non-responsive in the traditional sense, it's not really that much harder. And if they are at least some responsiveness, then they're getting some stimulation from each other. You get to watch that. You made that happen. It was a gift to your special needs child.
Absolutely.
And to those other 2 special needs children as well.
Right.
Those other 2 parents have a night off.
Right. When I once did that, I realized I am actually a pro, because whatever I'm saying to the child that I'm watching is the same things I've been saying to my child in growing and teaching. And
Mhm.
it was almost like hiring an expert to
Yes.
take care of your child, because you already know
Yes.
that they understand, right?
Yeah.
So totally get what you're saying.
So you're not just having some unqualified, untrained teenager watching your kid.
Right.
That
Yeah. I
may very
remember
well
when
not work.
I remember once when the parent came back to pick up her, or, her child, and she said, I hope it wasn't trouble to, do the personal hygiene. And I said, it's the same thing that I do for my child. So,
Sure.
it was natural.
Hmm.
It wasn't anything different. So I take
And
that point well taken.
it wasn't resented.
Right.
If we're resenting doing those things,
Right.
it costs us so much more.
True.
So that the next week and the week after that, I get 2 nights off,
Sure.
do what I want.
Sure.
That I think your organization can help create the process for.
Thank you. The next scenario is something more pertinent to the individual with special needs.
Mhm.
And often parents have shared in a very intimate parent support meetings, um, the thought that often runs in their heads is, this child doesn't understand. Even if I say something, the child's not going to understand. So it's an open gate to say anything, and so that's not a thinking that's healthy, because the child is understanding, maybe not able to express it, or maybe has expressive challenges, but help us understand how to get out of that thinking of, my child doesn't understand anything, I
So
could
I can
say what I
say and
want.
do whatever I want.
I
Yeah,
want.
well, just for the person themselves, vomiting out often leads them to feelings of guilt. Okay. So in order to keep the guilt down, the justification is the child it doesn't have any impact, any effect on the child. Even if the child is non-verbal, I mean, totally non-verbal, it doesn't mean the child isn't picking up emotional sensations, whether that be loving and caring, or whether that be and it does affect. It does affect. And that's just a truth. It's a truth that is important to be accurate about. It hurts the parent to think, well, I can just because it doesn't actually solve the feeling. It just, in a way, exacerbates it. It almost, the more we vomit out, the more we vomit out, as compared to being respectful of those feelings and saying, yeah, man, right now I need I need a little break. Okay, then give myself a little break, because no matter how dependent that special needs child is, you can find little times to take a break.
Mhm.
And if you like cappuccino, with my mother-in-law, she's 93, what she loves is for me to make her a cappuccino. So even when Sonia goes over to her mom, she has to she's still living independently,
Mhm.
so Sonia's over there quite often. I'll send a cappuccino, and it gives a big smile to the mom. It's little things that
Sure.
can nurture. Maybe it's 10 minutes of just and to begin to realize there are positive elements in that special needs child parent relationship.
Mhm. An example last night for me was, I was sharing with my husband that her sitter was having car problems, and that maybe she couldn't come today, and I was just carrying this one-on-one conversation with him. And this morning, as she was getting dressed, out of the blue, she says to me, um, sitter car problem? Sitter car okay? So then I thought, you know, she was in my space, but I didn't think she was listening. But sure enough, her ears were listening. She was processing it. It might have taken some time for her to understand, but sure enough, she conveyed her concern for this situation that I was
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
and that it was going to impact her.
Yes. And that's true, even if it's more kind of an emotional tension that you're feeling and it's not even something said. And I don't mean by that you have to be a robot that has no feelings.
Mhm.
But when you're feeling stress and you begin to nurture yourself, what do I mean by that? Things like, it's not surprising that I'm feeling stressed right now. I need to feel some nurturing. I'm going to nurture me. Jim, you know what? I'm proud of you. This is a very challenging situation you're in.
Mhm.
And no, you're not doing it perfectly, but you're really doing it the best you can. Please celebrate that.
Mm.
Celebrate that you're doing the best you can. When you do that, it increases your capacity to do the best you can. It becomes a positive circle instead of a negative, it's not fair and nothing matters, because that makes it harder on you.
And Dr. Henman, one of the reason we get to that thinking, because I know I'm guilty of it, and I know many parents have voiced that, is the feeling that they don't understand. It's not that they don't understand in the real sense, but that feeling, the thought comes because for years and years there's no reciprocation of verbal, and when there's no reciprocation, you don't know what the other person is feeling or thinking or desiring, what they want to say. So when it's only a one-way conversation for majority of the day, um, and so that's where our thinking leads to, what does he or she know? Because I'm not hearing it.
And that is, and the first step is appreciating how normal and natural it is to slip into that trap. Okay. It's absolutely normal and natural to slip into the trap. So when you realize you've slipped into the trap, the first step is to feel good about noticing
Right.
that you slip into that trap.
I was just thinking, why did we go there to begin with? Or how did we come to this thinking that they don't understand anything, they're defenseless, they can't, whatever it is? It's because over many, many years, it's been a one-way conversation.
Yeah. 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 And what's ironic in that one-way conversation, taking the best care of you as the parent of that special needs child, how you approach that conversation in your head, how you look at that exchange is profoundly important. When you are allowing yourself to be in that present moment with that child who's, say, pre-verbal, and you realize this life you can have an impact on. You can make a difference in their quality of life. It doesn't make them not special needs. It doesn't mean they're suddenly verbal. But by giving that nurturing, you are giving that child something precious. And ironically, you're also giving yourself something precious in giving that. They say it's more blessed to give than receive when it's freely given. If you feel like I have to, you're going to start resenting it. So allow yourself to move toward realizing I'm choosing to be this way toward my child, both for the child's sake and for my sake. I'm in this situation. Would I have chosen it? Maybe not. Probably not. But since I'm in it, how can I best live the healthiest life I can live in the situation I'm in? That's the question. And most people don't even ask that question.
Right.
I'm
And
sorry.
that wraps around the whole theme of what you've taught us for
Mhm.
many, many months now, and that is we're becoming.
Yes. And the fact that maybe where we're starting, we may think, oh my gosh, but you know what? Feel good about noticing, and turn that into, I can start today. I start in the present by forgiving myself for having fallen into patterns that I fell into. I need to be able to forgive myself in order to give myself and my child the best I can give. If I'm holding on to guilt toward myself, the guilt prevents me from being able to give the best I can give. And actually, in the same way, what I love about Alcoholics Anonymous is they've taken the word selfish to mean taking good, healthy care of yourself, whereas self centered cannot be selfish, because self centered can never produce the kind of good feelings that we want. The more self centered we are, the more miserable our life becomes. That's true, whether you have a special needs child or not. So to be selfish, I know it sounds strange, to be selfishly loving and nurturing toward that special needs child and towards yourself together, being loving toward both of you, allows the best that you can have of a challenging situation. It's still challenging. You know, positive isn't inaccurate, it's accurate positive, accurate.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Dr. Henman, and thank you for your time as always.
No, Mina,
And
please hear, I know I say this frequently. It is a gift to me to be able to maybe be of some help to a population that's been so untreated and often even mistreated by themselves, as well as by others, by other family members. And so we talked about that in previous
right.
sessions. You don't have the choice of whether or not you're in the situation. You are in the situation, but you do have profound choices about what it means to you, how you approach it.
Thank you for joining us today. And folks, if you would like to learn more about special needs in my city, visit us at specialneedsinmycity.org. And we will see you back here next month with another amazing topic to discuss with Dr. Henman. Thank you so much and have a good evening.